Hello, I'm Tony Warne. I'm a professor in mental health care and I'm also head of school, the School of Nursing here in the University of Salford. I fell into nursing in the 70s. I was living in Wales and it was the first time I'd ever been unemployed in all my life. And there was a job as a nursing assistant in the local psychiatric hospital, and I went there and really loved it. Worked for about a year as a nursing assistant. In those days it was very difficult to get people to become student nurses, so they actually came around the wards and said, do you want to be a student nurse? And the sole consideration for me was it was more tax efficient to be a student nurse than it was to be a nursing assistant. So I said, okay, I'd do that. And I had a fabulous nursing training. I was trained in mental health, but I actually worked for the early part of my years in learning disability services in Wales. And this was tremendous because they were closing the big hospitals down and moving everybody out into the community. So there was no manual for how do you do this. It was just sort of work with people to see what could actually be most effective. And then I came here to Salford probably in the mid-1980s to work in a forensic unit for young people. And the advertisement in the Nursing Times was, go where no RMN has been before, which was hugely attractive for me. So I came here and commissioned this forensic unit and worked in there for a couple of years. And I moved from there into managing more general mental health services in Salford, so both inpatients and outpatients. Really enjoyed that. Again, it was a great period of change, I think, where a lot of the stuff that was going on in hospitals was moving out into the community. So again, I felt I was very influential in terms of those kinds of changes. And the only way you could make money was to actually sort of go into management. So that was the next step that I did in nursing. So moved out of clinical practice into managing services. So I managed all the specialist services in the northwest region, which was quite an interesting experience in itself. And then probably in about 1995, I decided I wanted to leave the NHS. It was going in a different direction than the one that really was attractive to me. And I came into a university. I went to Manchester Metropolitan University, and that was an absolutely fantastic experience for me. They paid you money, not so much money as they did in the NHS, but they paid you money to sit in the library, go and read, to stand in front of a classroom full of students, to talk to them about this, that and the other. And it was really refreshing for me to do that. I just completed an MBA, and I don't know about you, but when you do that kind of studying, when you get to the end of it and you've got nothing more to study, it leaves a big gap and a bit of a hole in your life. So I thought, well, I'll go and do a PhD, which seemed to be the next natural step. And I really enjoyed doing that. I had a fabulous supervisor, who unfortunately is no longer with us. And he was an anthropologist and he was a sociologist. So he engaged me in new ways of thinking about the world that were completely alien, but very interesting. So I got my PhD and started to then do research, particularly around partnership working in health and social care. So again, taking a much kind of bigger view of how we might do things differently. And then came here in 2006 to get the professor in mental health job, and the rest is history.